Therefore, buy your investment properties now while everything is lower. We're going to have tenants coming in soon in the next few years. Rents will probably go back up, and then you'll be ahead. So overall, it's a long game for the real estate, and you probably would want to make a move sooner than later, simply for the fact that I don't think that we're going to get much further down as far as pricing goes. I think we're about to the bottom of it. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bamboo, Vancouver's property management and investment podcast. We did take a month or so off, just simply the fact that I have been in the process of moving brokerages from Coldwell Banker to our new one down at Prompton. So a little bit tied up with that, but needless to say, we are back now. So we're going to cover some of the stats as well as what's been going on with the Vancouver rental, investment, and real estate markets for Greater Vancouver. So without that further ado, June has continued on with its leveling out of rent. This month, it went up only $4 from the previous month. So these are starting to show the past 3 months has just bounced 4 up, 4 down, 4 up for the past 3 months, which would probably indicate to us that we're pretty much at the basement as far as where the rents are going. That being said, of course, it is still $133 less than it was at the same time last year. So I suspect that we'll probably see these rent levels stick about where they currently are sitting and not really have too much flex going through the rest of the year, most likely. And we may even start to see some increases after sustained portion of the time being at this level. Now, when we talk about the rents, we are using the 1-bedroom unfurnished unit. The reason why we use this as a marker for what we're looking at as far as pricing goes, and that is because essentially that's your base model, if you will. Obviously, a 2-bedroom will be worth more, and a 3-bedroom would be worth more, and so on and so forth. So that's why we use those as our baseline for what the going rents are. And do keep in mind that it does change from city to city. So this is an average overall with various aspects that will change the pricing of it, such as furnished or allowing for pets or in-suite laundry and so on and so forth. So just what we're saying here is that the average price is for a 1-bedroom unfurnished in Greater Vancouver. Now, on June 10th, the Bank of Canada did held its rate at 2.25%, so unchanged for the interest rates going there. We'll see it just stay around there for the rest of the year. There's too much going on as far as what's happening with the world in general and the economy. So they're probably just going to leave the interest rates, I would suspect, about where they currently are. That being said, what this has started to do is we've started to see a little bit of action in the sales side of the market. A lot of the stats are coming out are as a whole, but in many cities, the detached homes have actually started to level out and go up in some cases. So if this is sustained, it looks like people are starting to get off the fence, just understanding that this is the new normal. And if they're going to purchase and make a move, they're just going to have to handle it. And that's the way it's going to be. So that being said, if we have sustained action in the detached homes and they do actually start to go up gradually, that will push some people out, in which case they will end up looking at a townhome instead, causing that to have more competition in it, which will push into apartments and then eventually into rentals. So basically, it's something that we should keep an idea of watching what happens with the detached homes, because if those start to become more competitive for it, we may actually see the market as a whole start going up. So that is one of the aspects that we're looking at as far as the sales side with the interest rates and how that will apply to rentals. Now, speaking of rentals, there has been all this chatter about the government in BC coming in and purchasing about 2,200 vacant homes. Now, some people are viewing this as a bailout for the developers. Other people are looking at it for more affordable housing. The thing is right now is that there's not enough information to really understand if this is a bailout or not. Some of the questions that we have to figure out, for instance, is what is affordable? What they're saying that they're buying this for affordable housing. So that would make one assume that they're going to pick up the 1-bedroom units first or the studios because they're obviously cheaper than that. But will that sudden influx of 2,200 homes into the rental market all of a sudden cause rental prices to dip down more? Who knows? We don't know that. We also don't know exactly where all of these units are located. If they're buying them all in Langley, it's probably not going to affect downtown very much, of course, right? So these are certain things that we need to understand, that as well as the fact on the sales side, if half of these vacant units are gone, that's going to start to play for supply and demand. So will that cause the currently very slow condo market to go up in price? Or what will happen with all of those if they're suddenly just pulled out of the market wholesale? And speaking of wholesale, we need to find out about what the government is paying for as far as pricing. Is this make more sense to purchase these homes that are vacant, probably with some sort of a discount, I would assume, since they're buying 2,200 of them? You would assume that there'd be some sort of flex in the price for that. Which case, does this make it a bailout, or is it just a smarter move by the government, since they're trying to get more affordable housing, to just take the ones that are already there? Is it cheaper for them to purchase ones that are already built, or start all over again and build them themselves, which will obviously take longer to do, and so on and so forth with these sort of things? So we don't have enough information right now to know if this is a bailout per se, or if it's just a smart move by our government. So as those details come out, we will have to learn about what exactly is happening here. So the people right now who are freaking out about this whole situation, they don't have enough information currently to have any sort of an idea of what they're talking about. So as far as it stands, I personally think that we should stay put, see what's happening, and figure out the answers after we have all of the information before jumping to a conclusion and looking like an idiot in the long run. So that being said, one of the questions that I've been asked in this past week is, what are my thoughts on purchasing pre-sale? Because currently the pre-sale market is dead. So that being said, I have never really been a fan of purchasing pre-sale unless you're going to be the end user. Prime example that just happened is that we had all these people speculating, purchasing a whole bunch of pre-sales with the expectation that they're just going to flip them. Now with the anti-flipping tax, an extra 20% on your profits is a huge chunk of that money that you're planning on making. So as far as buying a pre-sale with the intent to flip it, it's not a very good plan anymore to proceed with this sort of thing. I've always been a proponent of wanting to purchase homes that you can turnkey, get it, and then rent it right away. Start making your money, start getting profit and all this coming through earlier than as opposed to putting down $100,000 and waiting for 4 years to get your product, which may or may not change. The market may change, as we just demonstrated. And if you're purchasing when it's already built and you can actually walk through it, you know exactly what you're getting and you can get it rented right away. So you're not wasting time waiting around hoping that things stay the same or get better, because they can also go the other direction and get a lot worse. One of the more hot purchases, in my opinion, right now is if you can find any of the apartments that need a little bit of work. The reason for this is because if you can get it at a basement price, very low, and maybe you have to put in a little bit of sweat equity into that, you've already improved the property, which means that you're going to most likely be ahead. And if you are already covering the nut, meaning that you can pay for your taxes and strata fees and so on and so forth via the tenant paying their rent, then once the rents start to go up eventually, you'll probably be in better shape with a place that's been updated, and then you will be able to sell it for a nice tidy profit. So the hot purchases right now, in my opinion, are to find apartments that need a little bit of work and that you can go ahead and rent to pretty much cover the nut, if not just a little bit below it. But again, once you have that updates, you will be ahead in the long run when you go to sell it down the road. Real estate investment is not a fast money game. It is not one of these shows that you see on HGTV where they are in Arizona and buy a trash house and make, $200,000 in a commercial break, because that's not the way the real world works. So that's what it comes down to. Those are probably pretty good hot buy for right now, if you can find the deals that are out there. Speaking of improvements, some of the landlords that we've been helping have been making a caustic error. And because the rental market is down, they keep on saying, oh, yes, we're going to update that or replace that stove or do that painting once we get a tenant. However, because the rental market is so slow, the tenants are searching around all over the place. And if you're going to end up having to do that work anyways, just get it done ahead of time. You only get one chance to make a first impression, and all you're doing by not having the updates that you're planning to do is you're just scaring off the tenant, because they're going to go to somewhere else where they're already done. The other thing that it pervades to this tenant is that when they come in and see that things aren't being taken care of, they're immediately going to jump to, well, if they haven't done X, what about the stuff that I can't see? So you want to make sure that your place is looking tip top, because right now the market is very slow and the tenants are looking all over the place and have significantly more selection than they have for a very long time. So if you are a landlord and you do need to do any of your updates, just get them done. That's end point there, because you're going to end up wasting months of vacancy. So that money that you're trying to save, you're burning by not having a tenant in the first place. Now, currently, the most expensive place for rents are downtown Vancouver. Vancouver proper, followed by West and North Van, and the least expensive is out in Surrey. This is mostly because Surrey had a whole bunch of condos that were built that no one ended up occupying, especially these micro ones that are, 350 to 370 square feet, which were obviously designed for the students that we currently don't have due to our Canada's immigration and student visa policies right now. So that's causing the lowering of the prices out in Surrey. However, we do have the World Cup happening. And historically, when we have a world-class event such as Expo 86, the Olympics, and probably the World Cup, usually after the event, because our city has been on display for the planet, a lot of people come back. And so what's interesting with this as well is that our city in Vancouver has been heralded by numerous sources as being one of the best host cities for this world-class event. I won't be surprised if we end up having a lot more people trying to come back here, especially since our immigration policies right now are not sustainable. Eventually, they're going to have to open those up. And when those do open up, I think that we're probably going to have a large influx of people coming here because they've seen it on TV or they're here for the event itself and want to be part of Vancouver. As much as we love to complain about taxes in Vancouver and the no-fun city and so on and so forth, we're actually kind of showing that there's more to it. And I think that we're probably going to have an influx of people coming in the near future. Therefore, buy your investment properties now while everything is lower. We're going to have tenants coming in soon in the next few years. Rents will probably go back up and then you'll be ahead. So overall, it's a long game for the real estate, and you probably would want to make a move sooner than later, simply for the fact that I don't think that we're going to get much further down as far as pricing goes. I think we're about to the bottom of it right now. So that basically has covered what's been going on for the investment and rental portion of our show. And if you've been listening for this long, I do appreciate. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with a new guest. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Haze. This has been Bamboo, Vancouver's property management and investment podcast.